Let's talk about college football here in town.
Okay, so yeah, we want to look at the Aztecs and see how they finished up on the draft board.
Well, we had said, John had asked me, because the Aztecs historically have always had draft picks. Not this year. Program slipped a little bit. Yeah, I think it has. But what's happened is now we have 7 guys who have signed free agent contracts as undrafted players. Houston, Jesse Matthews comes in as a route runner, reliable hands, maybe a return guy, goes to one of the worst offensive teams in the league, so he'll get a long look. I disagree with him leaving school. I think he should have stayed another year, would continue to get stronger. They are going to throw the football. I think they think they're going to throw the ball better. Jesse Matthews could have stayed there and might have had a much better statistical season. I wish he had stayed, but he's the son of a player agent, so that conversation probably took on a little bit different vein, but he winds up going to Houston, so there's an opportunity. Tyrell Shavers is big. Might he be a Vincent Jackson type receiver, the ex-Charger? He goes to Buffalo. Only time will tell whether he can actually play at the next level. His career, in all honesty, might be in Canada, because there are not a lot of 6'5" guys in Canada who can run. And guys that don't make it in the NFL should look there. Don't go to the XFL and the USFL or indoor football. Go to Canada, market yourself. If you have a good year or two, you can always come back across the border. There's a lot of history. So he goes to Buffalo. Miami, I think, got a really good player. I don't know whether he's a center or he's going to be a guard. Olave was he was the only veteran on the Aztec offensive front. Smart cookie. Physical guy, good feet. So he gets a chance to go in there and maybe be a backup swing guy between center and offensive guard. And if he could play 2 positions, that helps you a great deal. Pittsburgh gets Jordan Byrd, return kicks. I don't know whether or not he can handle the pounding that the NFL is all about, but there's no doubt that he's quick, dart dash. So they'll give him a look-see, probably as a kick return guy. Steelers also signed Jonah Tavai. This little guy, big heart, really good player, but there's not a lot of 5'10" defensive linemen in the NFL. He could go to Canada because with his footwork and his penetration, he could play in the Canadian Football League. There was an Aztec years ago, an offensive lineman from here. I think his last name was Hayward. He went up to Canada. He played a decade up there, made a lot of money.
Oh, good for him.
Now he's back in the States, retired as a coach. So maybe that might well be where Tavai winds up. And then the late signing was Caden McDonald. I think a really good player. Now does he have the quickness? He's sure got the bulk, and his high motor runs all the time. Might be a really good special teams guy, and a whole bunch of Aztecs have used that as their calling card to get in the league and stay in the league. So he goes to Indianapolis Colts. Indianapolis needs a lot of help. So maybe he lines up as a strong side linebacker as a backup and maybe becomes a gunner or plays an integral part of getting down the field, special teams, and he's all football all the time. So the Aztecs, they're putting guys in NFL camps, and it's opportunity.
Yeah, it's not bad. I mean, so how do the numbers break down? Like, how many guys do they invite to camp? How many are on the roster, the practice squad? I mean, what's the probability that these guys could maybe make the team?
Well, everybody goes through OTAs right now. So most of the NFL clubs are having mini camps this week where you bring everybody in and they sit in the classroom work and they might do a little bit of walkthrough. Nobody's in helmets or pads. Then you bring them back for the first of OTAs, which is a long extended period. And that's where they actually finally get into pads, and then they start doing real football related stuff as the offense and defense is installed. There's 90 guys under contract to every NFL team. And if you don't get hurt in the OTAs, hopefully, you'll be there in July when regular camp opens. And they've changed the off-season rules this year. They used to have cuts after the first preseason game, second preseason game, etc. They would go from 90 to 85 and 85 to 73 or something. This time they've gotten rid of all that. Those guys stay in camp the whole time. And then right at the end of August, after the final preseason games played, there'll be a lot of bodies on the street because everybody will go from 90 to 53
Ooh.
And then each club will re-sign, I think the number is 16 this year that will go on developmental. And most everybody re-signs guys that were in your camp. So these guys are going to get all this extensive OTA work, and they're all going to stay there right through the one roster cut they have the last week of August before the season starts, second week of September. So they'll get a lot of football, and they'll get indoctrinated in the NFL, and then obviously they'll have a chance to show their stuff in different types of walkthroughs, scenarios, and then obviously the 3 preseason games.
Well, and some of those guys that'll get cut at the end of preseason might wind up on another NFL team roster, right?
No, normally when you get cut, if you're coming back, you probably come back to the team that had you. Why? Because you've had all these months to digest everything in the playbook and the whole system.
Okay.
But that's, for the most part, that's the way it works. All right.